into a brand new wave, drowning out the noise that's tame. Liberty whispers through the brave, breaking free from every chain. Nullify the rules they crave, crypto beats that pave the way. Anarchy with minds that's safe, algorithms new dawn today. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride. Beyond control we take a stand, casting off the ardent brand. Freedom flowing through our hands, revolution's our command. Decentralize the way we plan, all together we expand. Breaking shackles for the clan, in this journey we're unpanned. Out of bounds and out of sight, building futures pure and bright. Escape the grip and win the fight. Welcome into the legacy ride.
Hell no, to the no, no, no. Hell to the no, hell to the no, to the no, no, no. Hell no, no, to the no, no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, 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 no. Hell to the no, no, to the no, 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 no. Hell to the no, 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 no.
Hell to the no, no, no. Welcome to Legacy News.
No.
Andrew's in the background yelling, screaming, ruining my intro. Legacy News, episode 17. I am your gracious, humble host, the legacy of Jennifer and Kaiser, Zachary Kaiser. Andrew joins me for another edition.
Von Mises.
And welcome to the Legacy Ride.
Mises is head.
Speaking,
no.
The reason why I started off the show with that is California and their illustrious policies have done some damage to what is a very tragic a tragic situation that's going on. Just like it's just one tragedy after another, and it has a lot to do with policy. In California's case, it is the lack of innovation, the failure to coordinate, and just not being nurturing to nature.
Yep.
And it's sad that everything that's going on out in LA, I mean, God bless all of them. It doesn't matter. You can be a bottom feeder, homeless, poor, to the working class, to the rich, and the people are losing their. It doesn't matter what type of classification you are in society. Like, people are losing their fucking homes, dude. And it all has a lot to do with just how chaotic nature is, and the fact that nobody was ready for it, and the policies in place that scampered away what could have been utilized to combat this and prevent it from becoming worse than what it is. And you got people that are not going to be able to come home. But that is what we're going to talk about. It's been in the news cycle for way too fucking long. and it's exhausting. It's exhausting that it's the negative that is in the news way too long than the positive. But before we jump into the article, uh, discussing about California and its fantastic policy makers uh, in the midst of tragedy and chaos. Anything you would like to start out with, Andrew?
Oh man, I can say this is definitely a powder keg that's been building for a long time. So, I mean, that's just a very brief statement about the matter, but the blowback had to come eventually for this, ignorant, regulatory environment, and this is how it happened, unfortunately.
Well, speaking of that, one thing that was in the news, um, excuse me, the mayor of LA, she was out of not even the state, not even out of town, not even out of California, but out of the country, when all of this transpired with no real plan in place. And she came back with nothing more to say but to stutter and stammer like she was Joe Biden on a that just took a preparation H. But what do you think of that? What does that show you for the leaders in this situation?
They're out of touch and disconnected from reality. I mean, like I said, this has been happening for a long time. It's been building for a long time. So
Sad, sad. So, but let's jump into the article before I go into a tirade about why California, amongst other states and governments and policy making, is standard bearer of just disgusting behavior. But with that, can you see that, Andrew? Can everybody else see that?
uh,
I don't care as long as I can see it.
zoom in. Yeah, zoom in a little better.
But this comes from MSN. I probably corresponding more so, or oh, I see Washington Post. So it looks like it's a story from the Washington Post dropping on MSN. I got it from the Drudge Report because that is just an archive of greatness. I love the Drudge Report. But LA's wildfires have leaders fighting on two fronts: nature and politics. And there is old Gavin Newsom being Gavin Newsom. I think the lady right here, that is the mayor of LA, isn't it? I don't know who the
Could
fuck.
be.
I think that's the mayor of LA. Yeah. Look at the damage behind though, dude.
Right.
Let's just get a picture of this. Just the backdrop in this photo. Like that's from nature.
Yeah.
That is how chaotic and violent nature can be. I mean, it's inevitable, but you can take preventative measures by not having douchebags like this guy running ragged and depleting funds for God knows what you want to do. And I'm not going to take the right wing manner and say it's all DEI. Well, they got some truth to that, but there's a little bit of truth nestled in the bullshit. But it's just regulatory. It's too much regulatory oversight that misses on the oversight because it's corruption at its finest and funds get appropriated in the wrong parts of government. And it's a wealth distribution scheme. And you get shit like this where you cannot maintain something like this. It also starts with maybe, I don't know, you're not letting nature be nature because of residential and zoning. So maybe it's time to go back to true controlled burns so that you can actually balance the nurture versus nature. But let's get in. I digress. Let's jump in. I've talked too much. As California continues to battle catastrophic wildfires consuming entire neighborhoods and taking lives, state and local officials are also fending off President-elect Donald Trump and his allies' efforts to blame them for the destruction. Let's blame game, blame game, blame game, blame game. Yeah, so let's bring some partisanship to to the name of the game. Blame everybody. Fuck Donald Trump. Fuck Gavin Newsom. Fuck them all, dude.
Right
Stop
in the
blaming
first
each other
sentence.
and let's. Yeah, go ahead, Andrew.
No, I'd say it's just right in the first sentence. I mean, that's just spitting bias. I don't know. It's just garbage,
Yeah,
man.
it is garbage. I mean, it is garbage. I mean, you're bringing politics into something that you need to start figuring out because people are dying, people are homeless, and people are, I mean, really, lives are at stake, and all you can care about is Donald Trump's doing this and Gavin Newsom's doing that. It's like, shut the fuck up, you children. It's time for the adults to sit at the table. So, anyways, I digress once again. At least 24 people are dead, and as many are missing as roaring flames ravaging Southern California. And what Governor Gavin Newsom said he expects will be the worst natural disaster in U.S. history in terms of scale and scope of damage. There will also probably be a lot more deaths added to the fatality toll. He's right. Newsom said in an interview that aired Sunday. The number of missing is expected to quickly increase by the dozens as search crews continue their work. Instead of offering words of sympathy and pledges of rebuilding, Trump, his billionaire ally Elon Musk, and top Republicans have spent much of the past several days blaming Democratic leadership in the state for the crisis, exasperating the already high tensions between the Republicans set to soon be in charge of the federal response and the mostly Democratic officials on the ground. Again, political division. Nothing's getting done because they just all keep bickering. Who cares whose fault it is? Let's deal with this now. The fires are still raging in LA. The incompetent polls have no idea how to put them out. Trump wrote on Truth Social on Sunday morning. They just can't put out the fires. What's wrong with them? Well, Donald, there's a little bit more to it than that at this rate. But you're a moron. Um, Many of Trump and Musk's attack are rooted in misinformation, but their responses to the ongoing destruction could pose a political risk to incumbent California Democrats who are already seeking investigations and accountability efforts over the fires. FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell said her agency has sufficient funding to support its response to the Los Angeles wildfires, thanks to roughly $27 billion in additional funding Congress recently authorized. Well, at least California is going to get $27 billion. I wonder how much Ukraine's getting, though. I digress again. We have the funding to support this response. I'm still waiting for the funding for North Carolina, though. People are still intense to support this recovery, but also to continue to support the recovery from Hurricanes Helene and Milton. Oh, okay, there you go. And the other 179 disaster declarations that we had last year alone across the United States, Criswell said Sunday on ABC's This Week. The scope and true cost of destruction are far from clear. Weather officials are predicting that Santa Ana winds, which can fan flames and carry dangerous embers, will ramp up early Monday and continue through Wednesday. That's awesome news. Awesome. Government officials' responses to natural disasters can bolster their reputations or damage them irrevocably. In times of emergency, voters reward actions from politicians both at the local and state level and at the federal level, said John Gasper, an economics professor at Carnegie Mellon University. What we actually saw in some of our research is that when a state governor would request aid and that aid was denied by the federal government, the voters would still reward the governor, Gasper said. The incumbent governor would get a bump at the next election and the federal president would be punished. So that tells us that the voters have at least some ability to figure out kind of who's acting on their behalf, he added. Then President George W. Bush saw his approval rating hit a new low after Hurricane Katrina devastated New Orleans and the Gulf Coast in 2005. Clear majorities of Americans disapproved of the way officials at all levels of government were handling the storm recovery, according to the Washington Post ABC News poll conducted this month after the hurricane. Michael D. Brown, FEMA administrator at the time, and Eddie Compass, who was serving as New Orleans police superintendent, both resigned in the aftermath of the storm. Conversely, Chris Christie, a Republican governor of New Jersey, saw his approval rating hit a new all-time high in the wake of Hurricane Sandy. Probably ate a lot of donuts. And everybody loved it. Other officials tied to the response at the time, including President Barack Obama, New York Governor Andrew M. Cuomo, and New York Mayor Mike Bloomberg, saw their favorability ratings rise after Sandy. Democrats in California are already bracing for the impact of the president-elect's second term, working to Trump-proof the state during a special session in the state legislature late last year, even as Trump has become more popular in California in recent years. In the 2024 presidential election, he won 38.3% of the state's voters, up from 34.3% in 2020 and 39.9% in 2016. Last week, President Joe Biden said that the federal government will cover 100% of disaster assistance costs to California for the next 180 days, promising we're going to be around a long while to help the federal government. That's nice. The Los Angeles County, with a population of more than 10 million, more than that of at least 41 states, also has considerable clout when it comes to politics, economics, and campaign fundraising. But it's unclear just how much Trump may honor or stymie the continuation of federal aid when he takes office. Local leaders say they have been in touch with Trump's team and are working to identify a time for the president-elect to visit. For his part, Newsom issued an executive order on Sunday cutting red tape and regulations, including environmental review requirements, to allow victims of the recent fires to restore their homes and businesses faster. That's a good sign, actually. Newsom on Sunday also said he was deploying 1,000 additional California National Guard members, bringing the total to 2,500 guardsmen. He also thanked Texas Governor Greg Abbott, and a Republican, an ardent Trump ally, for sending more than 135 firefighters and 45 emergency vehicles to help fight the fire. Red, blue, Republican, Democrat. In moments like this, we can come together, Newsom posted on X. From Trump's closest allies, however, have been actively stoking divisions. Musk, in a barrage of X posts disseminated in his 200+ million followers in recent days, also seized on false claims and racist ideas to cast blame on Democrats and diversity policies for wildfires. According to the Washington Post analysis, Musk downplayed the role of climate change, placing blame on individual female firefighters of color and lesbian firefighters, posting their names and faces, but providing no evidence that they were responsible for the continued spread of the fires. Musk also responded to an hour-long propaganda video by right-wing conspiracy theorist Alex Jones that claimed the fires, which experts say were caused by the combination of dry conditions and incredibly strong winds and were exacerbated by climate change, were part of a large globalist plot to cause the collapse of the United States. True, Musk replied. Musk repeatedly amplified claims that the Los Angeles Fire Department's investments to diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) programs cost lives by wasting money that would have been spent on disaster response. And Vice President-elect J.D. Vance, in an interview with Fox News Sunday, accused Biden of being asleep at the wheel for a number of different crises. The attacks are the latest in a pattern of Trump and his allies blaming California Democrats and spreading false information about the government's response to natural disasters. On the campaign last year, Trump threatened to withhold federal aid from California unless the state changed how it manages water, and he spread misinformation about the government's response to Hurricane Helene. During his first presidential term, Trump blamed Newsom for wildfires in California, suggesting the state should have raked its forests better. Democrats have repeatedly pushed back against the claims. In a letter issued on Friday, Newsom invited Trump to meet with the Americans affected by these fires, see the devastation firsthand, and join me and others in thanking the heroic firefighters and first responders who are putting their lives on the line. He also emphasized that we must not politicize human tragedy or spread disinformation from the sidelines. I called for him to come out, take a look for himself. We want to do it in the spirit of an open hand, not a closed fist, Newsom said of his invitation to Trump in an interview that aired Sunday on NBC's Meet the Press. When NBC's news correspondent Jacob Soboroff asked Newsom if he had received a response from Trump, he answered no. A spokesperson for Trump's transition team did not reply to a request for comment on Sunday afternoon. In remarks on Thursday, without naming Trump, Biden sought to debunk rumors about the fires in simple, straightforward language. He also warned that in a crisis, rumors and fear spread very quickly. One major point of criticism among conservatives has been funding levels for Los Angeles' fire department, with House Speaker Mike Johnson, a Republican from Louisiana, decrying supposed but non-existent cuts to the firefighting budget as evidence of feckless leadership by Newsom and Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass. Overall, funding for the Los Angeles Fire Department increased by $80 million, or 9.1%, in the 2024-2025 fiscal year. Some Trump supporters have also seized on reports of sporadic looting and arson as examples of lawlessness in the country's second most populated metropolitan area. Officers have arrested at least 29 people for crimes related to the fire. LA County Sheriff Robert Luna said in a briefing Sunday, one of the suspects was wearing a fire jacket and a fire hat, so convincing, Luna said, that it tricked him at first. The man was charged with impersonating a firefighter, the sheriff said. Some Angelenos have criticized the response to fires following reports that overtaxed fire hydrants ran dry and homes stood burning with seemingly few firefighters in sight. Water experts have said that at least one part of the reason for the empty fire hydrants was that increased demand for water to fight the fires lowered water pressure, leaving hydrants sputtering. Bass has also been criticized for being away from the city when the fires began, traveling to Ghana on a presidential delegation despite predictions of potentially dangerous wind gusts. Bass, who returned to Los Angeles on Wednesday, has pledged to evaluate what may have gone wrong once the fire crisis ends. Newsom and others have called for an independent investigation into the water shortages.
And talk about a black swan event. I mean, these things happen all the time. Look up in Michigan with the water. I think they're still dealing with that. Last I heard, they had multiple, emergencies in Tennessee several years ago. They had the Smoky Mountain fire, and they mismanaged that. It's crazy. People see this over and over again, but they're insane because they don't tell. Obviously, we need to give them more power and more influence and centralize it more under fewer hands.
Will do. I will push back on the one in Tennessee a few years ago, the Smoky Mountain fires. Wasn't it discovered that was an incident where somebody lit a campfire and forgot about it? Something like that?
No, I was doing security in the area. No, not where the fire was, but I mean, I was living in the area doing security, and apparently somebody was actively going and throwing things to try to start fires up in Chimney Rock, I think it's called.
So yeah. So it was basically a dumbass being a dumbass and trying to be funny, right?
Yeah.
And it caused a tragedy, and there was some mismanagement there, but at the same time, they're also mismanaging it on the aspect that they're still trying to figure out how the hell did this fire occur. Whereas I think in California, you can point to a lot of the mismanagement of both political division and the excessive regulatory oversight that has plagued the policymakers in California that has harmed the citizens of California. So government mismanages crises because government doesn't know how to manage a crisis.
Yeah.
A crisis.
Compare and contrast. There were 2 departments in Tennessee that were responsible for, maintaining the regulations. 2, and they look at what's going on in California. They have, countless departments because they have multiple departments for one issue. I've seen articles about that in the past. So it doesn't matter how lean or how how verbose their regulations are, because they're always going to find a way to screw it up.
Now, what's your take on what the incoming Trump administration is stoking in this instance right now, leading up to his inauguration?
I can see him trying to make it like he's doing with the federal government and have a Department of Efficiency, and it's still not going to be enough because they can't anticipate everything.
No, you can't. I mean, that's unnatural and impossible. If you could anticipate everything, then what's the point of having a government? If we can predict it all, then we definitely wouldn't need a government, because we could figure out how to rectify the issue prior to the issue even occurring. So
somehow we've survived with Joe Biden as the president. So I don't know. We don't need a government.
That is very true. We've survived Joe Biden. We survived Trump #1. We've survived Obama and Bush for 16 years. I mean, I think we can manage without a federal government, man.
Yeah.
Or a president, for that matter. But at the same time, do you think that Trump was going to use this situation, this tragedy that's going on in California, as a means for him to come in and I hate to use the word intimidate, but I guess intimidate Congress into allowing for the creation of a new department, and thus the Department of Government Efficiency becomes an actual government department?
Yeah, that's like Rahm Emanuel said. Don't ever let a emergency go to waste.
I mean, yeah, and he's exactly right, because out of 9/11, guess what came out of the ashes? The Department of Homeland Security, and and your civil liberties out the window. And out of the ashes of California's wildfire crisis that has been exasperated through bad policy decisions and too much regulatory oversight prior to, and just leadership that just is not astute to reality. You're probably going to see the federal government actually try to make DOJ a department, and that's not good. I thought they were the Department of Government Efficiency. I thought they were a think tank that's supposed to review on what government departments need to be cut, who needs to be fired, how much funding needs to go here, how much funding needs to be withheld here, whatever. But it seems like this might actually lead to DOJ actually becoming Trump's Department of Homeland Security. I can only guess. I'm only guessing. I don't know, but
well, I mean they've already got like fusion centers, right? That's that interacts between different police departments, state, local, and and federal, and they share information. So why wouldn't they just do the same thing for other things? Ron Paul is a terrorist.
Ron Paul is the greatest terrorist that I follow.
I know.
Oh,
right?
wait, hold up.
That's what fusion centers say.
Terrorist.
Yeah.
Well, if you ain't against it, you're with the terrorists.
Yep.
I love you, Dub.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, W. You are so retarded that you were the greatest dictator we've ever had. But I digress once again. Anything more on this California issue, Andrew?
No, I'm black-pilled enough. Thank you. I don't need more.
You're black-pilled enough?
Yeah.
You're black-pilled enough First
Yeah.
off, let it burn. Let it burn, everybody. I forgot the ticker. But
Ah,
every episode we have to do this. So anything more to say there, Andrew?
I'm
Do you
kind
have
of
something to
retarded.
You are kind of, yeah, you kind of are, Alex. But as you can tell, we have a new logo. But anything else on the matter of California?
I mean, we'll just have to see what happens with this coming forward. Or going forward, I should say. See there, I told you. I proved it. I said the wrong word. Once again. Let it burn.
I'm not going to punish you this time. So that's effectively what governments are trying to. The federal government is effectively trying to do. I think they're just trying to let it burn. There was something I watched a clip and some things were slipped out. Like I don't know who it was, but some dude in California was in a press conference. He let it slip. It was probably just a Freudian slip of being a literal retard and just the chaos of the event. But he let it slip like we started these fires.
Yeah.
I don't know if I think people in the in the realm of the internet and X especially with a bunch of morons, they would take that a little too far and construe that towards an admittance of like the new world order. Um, but in reality, the guy kind of has a point. Like you did start these fires because, well, nature started these fires. This is inevitable. I mean, wildfires occur. It's a natural part. And you have the Santa Ana winds that are just in overdrive right now with the El Nino that we're in right now, right? Because we went into a El Nino, we shifted from a La Nina to an El Nino phase, like right on the cusp of summer last year, and so that's kind of why that's one reason the currents are the way they are right now. So there's a natural aspect, but then yeah, so and then just like we've already said, it's policy and regulation and just government too much government interference and too much government trying to be government that they forget what they're there for to begin with, and that's the protection of citizens in preventing certain ordeals occurring to become worse. So, in effect, he's right. You have caused this fire. You've caused this fire to start in the effect of becoming worse than what it could be.
Yeah.
So, and it doesn't help that Trump and his cronies of retards are stoking more division and more chaotic Republican Democrat sentiment in the midst of yet another crisis. So Donald Trump, everybody, is going to be the same fucking asshole that Joe Biden was. He's going to stoke division. It's just going to be more entertaining, I guess. And honestly, it's not going to be more entertaining because we've seen this replay. I don't want a replay. I want you to actually either do your fucking job and stay the fuck out of everything, or I don't know. I can't say I can't say anything more. We'll get canceled from YouTube.
Yeah, let's just cut it here.
So, but with that, that's Andrew Joseph. I'm Zachary Kaiser. And thank you for tuning in. Like, subscribe, leave a comment down below. Spread this message all around the podcast circuit. We're all over the podcast circuit. We are the Legacy Right. This is Legacy News. And for California and the rest of the world dealing with shit, live long and prosper. Peace.